Hello, I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing what it means to be in your heart and to be heart-centered. And a lot of people have gotten this wrong, and they're like, "Oh, you're too mental, you're too much in the mind, and you're not enough in the heart, and I just let my heart lead me." And I'm going to kind of explain how that is a new age lie. It's a new age deception, and it's really not what it means to be heart-centered, and that you can be very, very mental and heart-centered at the same time. And if this is something that interests you, stay tuned. So a lot of people, they say, you're too mental. I try not to worry about the mind. I just want to be in my heart more. And they're saying, well, you just need to allow and relax and stop thinking so much and start being and, be more in your heart and that kind of thing. And I really find a problem with that because I'm very much heart-centered and I have a lot of empathy, and I've done a video on empathy, which you can check out right there or there. I don't know. So being an empathetic person, I definitely take issue with this. I understand what actual empathy means. It means, asking questions, trying to understand. Being empathetic means that you're also going to be humble. You're not going to assume things about people. You're going to start asking them questions so that you can, because you're not together in the emotion with them, which is sympathy. You're going into the emotion with them, which is empathy. You're trying to understand them, and in order to do that, you start asking them questions. You don't assume, you ask questions. That's empathy. And we have a lot of people who are empathy deficient. They don't have the empathy. They're not in their heart, so to speak. But there's another aspect to all of this that is really important to understand, and it has to do with understanding. It has to do with asking why questions. It has to do with the discovery of meaning. And so you have a contrasting experience. You go through a wanted versus an unwanted experience, or you have a co-creative thing such as a male and a female, or questions and answers, or summer and winter, or even death and life. So with all these things, you have the unwanted and the wanted version. You go through an unwanted experience, and that gives you contrast so that you can try to find the meaning of it all. So this contrast about what you do want, what you don't want, there's a stretching there. And in between these two extremes is where you find your meaning. And so you start asking why questions, you start processing it. You have to process the experience. This is what I don't want. Why do I not want that? And once I understand why I don't want it, then I can understand what I do want. So you have to know what you don't want before you can know what you do want. And a lot of times people are like, well, I just don't want you to hurt me. Well, but what is it that you do want? There is something that you're wanting that this experience is showing you that you don't want. And now you need to work through that and try to understand it better until you get to the point where you do know what you do want. And now that's that thing that you've now you've learned between these two extremes is the meaning. You've discovered meaning from this process. So the same thing can be applied towards polarities. So you have a male and a female. The masculine, the male, gets to know his masculinity, his maleness, more through the mirror of the female. So without a female, male would not get to know themselves. And without males, females would not get to know themselves. What does it mean? What does it mean to be a male? Well, I can know what it means to be a male by being with females, and also by being around other males. So I get this experience, these contrasting experiences, like, oh, they're doing it different than I'm doing it. And then I can, be with a female, and I can see how she's doing it different than I'm doing it. And then we build a deep relationship, and we process, and we work through conflict together, and we develop meaning. So we have these hard experiences, these difficult experiences that are the wanted, unwanted variety. And I'm doing this with a female, which is a co-creative partner, a co-creative type contrast. And now we can learn. And now if you're so worried about dying, and you just want to live forever, well, what you're doing is you're removing your ability to discover meaning. Life loses its meaning when you can no longer die. And so you need death as a part of a cycle so that you can then bring meaning to life. Life becomes meaningless. It becomes more nihilistic. What's the point if there is no death? And so you get to learn more about yourself and more about life in general because of this. So restrictions, when you like say, I'm going to be monogamous, well, what does that mean? That means I'm restricting my amount of partners. I'm restricting my amount of people that I can go into this experience with. But now, because I'm limiting myself, now I have infinite possibility to be discovered in this self-restriction. So we restrict ourselves, and then we start having these experiences with these other people so that we can discover meaning. So this is what really the heart is. So you have knowledge, understanding, wisdom. So if you think of knowledge as like the head, and you have understanding as the heart, and then wisdom is, the genital region and the action, the legs. And so this is a good metaphor for that. You're working your way down through this. So you first think it, then you feel it, then you act upon it. And the heart is meaning, it's understanding, it's purpose, because purpose is now what you take. You take the meaning that you've discovered and now you act upon it. And so you're now taking that out into the world. Your purpose is like the wisdom, and the meaning is the understanding. It is your why. Why do I act? Why do I do the things that I do? Why am I going out into the world to live this greater meaning, this greater purpose that I have, to serve? This is my purpose in life. Now I can bring the meaning that I've discovered through all these contrasting experiences, and I can now give it as a gift to others. So this is what the meaning in the heart really means. It's not about, I'm feeling it now, and I'm just going to let my heart guide. And really, that's just a childish view of life. And it's not very smart. It's not very intelligent, and it's definitely not emotionally intelligent either. So being an emotionally intelligent person means that you're going to take your intellect and you're going to gear it towards looking at your emotional states, and you're going to bring it to bear on your emotional states. Emotional intelligence is bringing intelligence to bear on your emotional states. And now you are going to have an integrated emotional capacity that is integrated with your intellect. And now when you go and act, you're acting from a place of purity, a place of holiness, a place of clear thinking, meaning, and purpose. I'd like to read this thing from the Merovingian in The Matrix Reloaded. He says, beneath our poised appearance, the truth is we are completely out of control, causality. There is no escaping it. We are forever slaves to it. Our only hope, our only peace is to understand it, to understand the why. Why is what separates us from them, you from me. Why is the only real source of power. Without it, you are powerless. And this is how you come to me, without why, without power. Another link in the chain. What he's actually saying here is that you are looking for your meaning in other people. You're finding your meaning from them, and your purpose is to serve them. And so you have knowledge, then you take the understanding from them. They give you your meaning. They give you your purpose. Now your purpose is to serve, and now you are just acting out on their behalf. You are a slave to their why. You're a slave to their understanding. Your purpose is to serve them, and your meaning comes from them, from their approval. And that's that's being disconnected from your heart, because you have no why. You have not discovered that meaning for yourself. Now, if I act based on my own why, not based on the why of everybody else, I'm being self-determining. I'm taking things into my own hands, and I'm acting upon my impulses, not the impulses that were given to me, not the impulses that were fed to me through childhood, through societal things, through my own DNA, and through my heredity. So there's all these different factors that give us a why, that give us meaning and give us purpose, that are outside of ourselves. And now our job is to go through the contrasting experiences and internalize our why, to internalize causality, become a cause over our own life, rather than being an effect of somebody else's cause. And this is what it means is you have to find meaning. It's logocentrism. It's being connected to the logos, being connected to the word of God, being connected to the divine reason, or the law of reason, or what some people call natural law. You are now finding your own why. You have your own internalized meaning, and now you act upon that meaning and bring it to the world as your purpose. And it is very important that we learn how to do that so that we can be connected to our heart. If we are meaningless, and life is meaningless, that's nihilism, and we are without purpose, except for the purpose that we get from serving others, the purpose we get from doing what others, to get in their good graces, like a beta male might do. He's going to serve the feminine just because he wants to get, favors from her. So his purpose is to serve her. His meaning comes from her approval. And that's the life of a beta male. He doesn't know how to say no. He doesn't know how to set boundaries. He doesn't know how to walk in his power. Why? Because he has no power, because he has no understanding. He has no meaning. He has no purpose of his own. His meaning and his purpose have been externalized. His why is externalized. And we need to discover that why within ourselves so that we can live a heart-centered life. So for all those people out there that think that you can have a heart-centered life just because you have feelings, that everybody has feelings. That doesn't mean you're living a heart-centered life. That doesn't mean you're living a life of purpose and meaning. It just means that you're living a life that's based on emotional whims and the currents of emotions. You haven't brought your intelligence to bear on your emotional states. You haven't become emotionally intelligent. You haven't used your intelligence to work through the contrasting experiences, because it is between the contrast between life and death that meaning is found. It is in between the contrast between males and females that meaning is found. It is through the contrast of the unwanted and the wanted that we are able to find meaning and purpose in our life. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you'd like to stay up to date with my videos, please subscribe. If you would like to be notified via email whenever I release a new video, please click the bell next to subscribe. If you have any comments or questions or would like to go into a dialogue about this topic, please leave them in the comments section below. I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. Be safe, be sovereign, be well.